Ladies and gentlemen, hear me and hear me well. Happiness is not a feeling you stumble upon. It is a discipline you choose every single day. Life will not hand you joy on a silver platter. The world will not pause its storms for your comfort. But you have the power to rise up, take ownership of your emotions, and create happiness on demand. Happiness is not about what happens to you. It's about what happens in you. Happiness is a daily choice, not a circumstance. Too many people wake up in the morning waiting for life to give them a reason to smile, as though joy is hidden somewhere outside of them, waiting to be discovered. But the truth is, happiness is not something you stumble upon by accident. It is not the byproduct of wealth, fame, or the approval of others. It is a decision you must make for yourself over and over again, no matter what the day brings. Life is unpredictable, circumstances change without warning, and people may disappoint you. But in the midst of uncertainty, you can choose happiness because it comes from within. When you anchor your joy to circumstances, you set yourself up for constant instability. One moment you are up, and the next you are down, depending on whether the day went your way. But when you realize that happiness is a discipline, you begin to take back your power. You are no longer a victim of situations or other people's moods. You decide with full authority that today you will smile, you will be grateful, and you will find light even in the smallest things. This choice transforms how you view the world because you stop waiting for perfection and start creating joy with what you already have. Choosing happiness daily is an act of resilience. It means refusing to let the storms of life determine your inner weather. Even when clouds gather, even when things don't go according to plan, you stand firm and declare that your joy is untouchable. This is not about denying reality or pretending problems don't exist. It's about acknowledging them without letting them control your heart. Problems are temporary, but the choice to be happy can remain permanent if you decide it will. Every day presents countless opportunities to either complain or give thanks. The decision is always yours. You can focus on what went wrong, or you can choose to magnify what went right. You can dwell on what you lack, or you can celebrate what you already have. The direction of your focus determines the depth of your happiness. Those who live in gratitude are often the happiest, not because life is easier for them, but because they have trained their minds to see blessings where others see burdens. When you recognize that happiness is a choice, you begin to see how much control you actually have over your life. You may not control the traffic, the economy, or the attitudes of others, but you can control your own perspective. This perspective shapes not only your day, but your destiny. By waking up and deciding to be happy, you prepare your mind and heart to deal with challenges from a place of strength instead of weakness. You start to influence the atmosphere around you instead of letting it influence you. The discipline of happiness also requires consistency. It is not a one-time choice, but a repeated decision, sometimes many times within the same day. When frustration creeps in, you choose again. When disappointment tries to steal your joy, you choose again. When fear whispers lies about your future, you choose again. Each time you make the decision, you build a stronger foundation for joy, and over time, it becomes second nature. Happiness becomes your default setting, not an occasional surprise. Happiness is not passive, it is proactive. You don't wait for it to arrive, you cultivate it. You choose your words carefully, knowing they shape your mood. You choose your thoughts intentionally because what you dwell on becomes the lens through which you see life. You choose your actions deliberately, deciding to do things that nurture peace and joy. By living this way, you are no longer at the mercy of life's ups and downs. You stand on solid ground, rooted in the decision to be happy. The beautiful thing about choosing happiness daily is that it creates ripple effects. When you choose joy, you don't just uplift yourself, you inspire others. Your smile may encourage someone who was on the edge of giving up. Your positive words may spark hope in someone's heart. Your energy may shift the atmosphere of an entire room. This is the power of choosing happiness. It multiplies beyond you and becomes a gift to others. So many people believe happiness is something they must chase. They think once they achieve a certain goal, buy a certain thing, or get approval from a certain person, then they will finally feel happy. But happiness is not a destination to arrive at one day in the future. It is a choice you make in the present. It is available right here, right now, in the middle of whatever you are going through. The key is realizing that you don't need anything outside of you to validate the joy inside of you. Every day you are alive is another opportunity to make the choice. Each morning is a blank page, and you hold the pen. You can fill the page with negativity, worry, and doubt, or you can fill it with gratitude, peace, and happiness. No one else can make this decision for you. You alone must decide that no matter what life brings, you will push yourself to smile, push yourself to laugh, push yourself to be grateful, and push yourself to choose happiness again and again. Disciplining yourself to choose joy is one of the most powerful acts of self-mastery you can practice, because joy is not something that naturally flows every moment of every day. There will always be moments of frustration, disappointment, and unexpected challenges, but the ability to discipline your mind and heart to rise above those feelings separates those who merely survive life from those who truly live it. Discipline means you refuse to be controlled by fleeting emotions, and instead, you intentionally align your thoughts, your words, and your actions with joy. It's not about pretending you're happy when you're not. It's about choosing a mindset that is stronger than the chaos around you. This kind of discipline requires training your mind daily. You must be intentional about what you feed your heart and soul, because the input you allow determines the output of your life. If you consume negativity, surround yourself with toxic influences, and dwell on problems, your joy will be constantly drained. But if you focus on gratitude, affirming truths, and hope-filled messages, your heart will be filled with joy even in the hardest moments. Training your mind means refusing to let negativity take root. The moment it tries to settle in, you reject it and replace it with something positive, uplifting, and life-giving. Choosing joy is an act of self-control that strengthens over time. Just like building muscle, the more you practice joy, the stronger you become in maintaining it. At first, it may feel difficult to smile when life feels heavy, or to find something good when everything seems wrong. But the more you practice, the easier it gets. Each time you choose joy over bitterness, you are rewiring your brain, creating a habit that becomes second nature. What was once a struggle becomes your normal way of living because you've trained yourself to see hope even when others see despair. Discipline also means not waiting for the perfect moment to feel joy. Many people believe they need their finances to improve, relationships to be fixed, or dreams to come true before they allow themselves to be happy. This mindset keeps them trapped in cycles of disappointment because life will never be free of challenges. Joy must be chosen despite circumstances, not because of them. When you discipline yourself in this way, you gain a strength that no setback can steal. You create a reservoir of joy within that sustains you no matter what storms you face. Another key to disciplining yourself to choose joy is to take control of your inner dialogue. The words you speak to yourself are powerful because they shape your emotions and decisions. When you wake up, you can either speak life into your day or speak defeat before you even begin. Discipline means stopping yourself when negative self-talk tries to take over and replacing it with words of faith encouragement, and power. It's reminding yourself that you are capable, worthy, and chosen to live a life of peace and purpose. Speaking joy daily is a form of training that eventually reprograms your entire mindset. The company you keep also plays a role in choosing joy. Discipline yourself to guard your environment, because people and places can either feed your joy or drain it. Surround yourself with those who uplift, inspire, and challenge you to grow. Limit your exposure to negativity, gossip, and drama that pull your spirit down. Being disciplined in your relationships doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means protecting your peace and prioritizing joy. When your circle is filled with positive energy, it becomes easier to stay anchored in joy even when life feels heavy. Discipline requires intentional actions every day, not just good intentions. You must wake up and actively choose practices that create joy. This might mean starting your day with gratitude, meditating on empowering thoughts, or taking time to pray or reflect. It could also mean doing things that energize your soul, reading something uplifting, exercising, or serving others. Choosing joy is not passive. It's a deliberate series of decisions that shape your mindset and attitude for the rest of your day. There will be times when joy feels far away, and that is when discipline matters most. Choosing joy in hard times doesn't mean ignoring pain, but it does mean refusing to let pain have the final say. It's deciding to look for lessons in struggles, to search for light in darkness, and to believe in hope even when circumstances seem hopeless. Discipline allows you to stand firm in moments when your emotions are screaming at you to quit, and it gives you the strength to smile and keep going when others would crumble. Over time, the discipline of choosing joy transforms your character. You begin to radiate peace and positivity no matter what's happening around you. People will notice that you carry a calmness that doesn't make sense to the world because it's not tied to external factors. This kind of joy becomes magnetic. It inspires others and creates an atmosphere where negativity can't thrive. Your joy becomes a shield that protects your heart and a light that guides your path. When you discipline yourself to choose joy, you take back your power. You stop being a slave to circumstances and emotions, and you step into a place of authority over your life. Joy is not just a feeling, it's a decision that requires practice, strength, and commitment. Discipline makes this possible because it teaches you to rise above the temporary and focus on what is eternal, unshakable, and true. Through this discipline, joy becomes more than a choice. It becomes your identity and your greatest source of strength. Stop giving others power over your happiness, because the moment you allow someone else's opinion, attitude, or actions to dictate how you feel, you hand over the steering wheel of your life. Happiness should never be at the mercy of another person's mood or approval. When you let others control your emotions, you're essentially telling them that they hold the key to your peace, which leaves you vulnerable and unstable. No one else should have that much influence over your mental and emotional state. Your joy must be rooted in something deeper than the shifting tides of human behavior, because people will change, disappoint, and misunderstand you. But your happiness should remain solid and unshakable. It's easy to fall into the trap of basing your happiness on how others treat you or what they think of you. Many people live in cycles of stress because they are constantly trying to gain validation or avoid criticism. They find themselves bending over backward to please everyone, only to feel empty when their efforts go unnoticed. This lifestyle is exhausting because it puts your joy in someone else's hands. And as long as you rely on others to make you feel good about yourself, you'll always be chasing happiness instead of living in it. True joy is built internally, not externally. And until you take full responsibility for your emotional state, you'll never experience lasting peace. Taking back your happiness begins with realizing that no one has the authority to define your worth. Your value is not determined by how others perceive you or treat you. If someone doesn't recognize your greatness, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Too often, people let rejection, criticism, or even betrayal rob them of their confidence and joy. But the truth is, those things say more about the other person than they do about you. When you stop seeking approval from others, you begin to live freely. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself, and you start focusing on being the best version of yourself for your own growth, not for applause. When you let others control your emotions, you're giving them power they may not even deserve. People are flawed. They have bad days, their moods shift, and their words can be careless. If you let every negative comment or attitude affect you, you'll spend your life on an emotional roller coaster. Strength comes from learning to stay grounded in your own beliefs, values, and identity regardless of what others say or do. Your happiness cannot depend on external validation because it's not meant to be fragile. It should be a constant state of being that thrives regardless of outside circumstances. One of the reasons people give away their power so easily is because they fear rejection. They crave acceptance so deeply that they'll do whatever it takes to avoid being disliked. But this mindset keeps you trapped because no matter how much you try to please others, there will always be someone who criticizes or misunderstands you. The moment you realize that you can't control people's opinions, you find freedom. You stop seeking approval and start building a life that reflects your true self. Happiness is not about fitting into someone else's idea of who you should be. It's about owning who you are and finding peace within yourself. Boundaries are essential in protecting your happiness. When you set clear limits with people, you teach them how to treat you. But more importantly, you protect your emotional well-being. Allowing toxic relationships or negative voices into your life is like leaving your door open for a thief. They may not steal physical things, but they'll rob you of your peace and joy if you let them. Establishing healthy boundaries doesn't mean shutting people out. It means recognizing who deserves access to your energy and who doesn't. By doing this, you reclaim your happiness and safeguard it from those who might unintentionally or intentionally harm it. Releasing the need for external validation is one of the most liberating decisions you can make. When you live for the applause of others, you become a prisoner to their expectations. But when you learn to validate yourself, your confidence grows from within. You start to believe in your own worth, not because someone else told you, but because you know who you are. This shift changes everything. It allows you to walk confidently even when no one is cheering you on. It empowers you to take risks, follow your dreams, and live authentically because your happiness is anchored in self-acceptance rather than external approval. Another way to take back your happiness is to stop replaying negative words or actions in your mind. Dwelling on how someone hurt you or disrespected you only gives them more power over your emotions. They may have moved on, but if you keep rehearsing their words in your head, you're allowing them to live rent free in your mind and control your peace. Forgiveness, both for yourself and others, is key to breaking this cycle. Forgiving someone doesn't mean you condone what they did. It means you refuse to let their actions dictate your emotional state any longer. It's a declaration of independence over your joy. Your happiness is your responsibility, and that means you must actively protect it. This requires self-awareness and intentional habits. Start noticing when you're giving someone else too much control over your feelings. Are you waiting for a compliment to feel good about yourself? Are you letting a negative comment ruin your entire day? When you catch yourself in these moments, pause and take back your power. Remind yourself that your worth doesn't fluctuate based on someone else's mood or opinion. This mental shift is the foundation of emotional freedom. The truth is, the only person who should have full control over your happiness is you. When you take responsibility for your emotional health, you stop being a victim of other people's actions. You become grounded, confident, and unshakable because your joy is not at the mercy of circumstances. You're no longer a puppet pulled by the strings of others' approval, but a strong, self-assured individual who knows their value. The moment you stop giving away your happiness is the moment you reclaim your life and step into true freedom. Happiness is the foundation of success because true achievement begins within. Many people believe that once they reach a certain level of success, they will finally feel happy and fulfilled, but this is a backward way of thinking. Success built on unhappiness is fragile, temporary, and often empty because it is rooted in external accomplishments rather than inner stability. Happiness provides the strength, energy, and vision necessary to achieve great things. When you are genuinely happy, you think more clearly, act with confidence, and attract opportunities that align with your purpose. Happiness creates an internal environment where success can thrive naturally instead of being forced. When happiness comes first, it shapes your mindset, and your mindset determines your results. A person who operates from a place of joy approaches challenges differently than someone who is miserable. Happiness gives you the resilience to keep moving forward when things get difficult. It allows you to see setbacks as stepping stones rather than roadblocks, and it empowers you to look for solutions instead of dwelling on problems. A joyful mind is a creative mind, and creativity is one of the key ingredients of success. Those who learn to cultivate happiness daily create mental clarity and emotional stability, which become powerful tools for achieving their goals. Happiness also drives motivation. When you feel good about yourself and your life, you naturally want to do more, create more, and accomplish more. Misery drains energy, but joy replenishes it. People who prioritize happiness are not working to escape pain or desperation. They are working from a place of inspiration and vision. This kind of motivation is sustainable because it doesn't depend on fear or external pressure. It is self-generated, making it much more powerful. Success built from happiness is not only more enjoyable, but it is also more lasting because it comes from a deep internal drive rather than a temporary emotional high. Your happiness influences the relationships you build, and relationships are a major part of success. People are naturally drawn to those who radiate positivity and confidence. When you carry yourself with joy, you attract others who want to work with you, support you, and collaborate with you. Happiness creates an atmosphere of trust and connection, which are crucial for building strong networks and partnerships. In contrast, those who are constantly negative or unhappy often repel opportunities without even realizing it. Joyful people tend to open more doors simply because others enjoy being around them and are inspired by their energy. A happy mindset also enhances decision making. When your emotions are balanced and you feel at peace, you are less likely to make choices out of fear or desperation. Happiness gives you the ability to think long-term, weigh your options carefully, and pursue goals that align with your values. Success built on impulsive decisions often leads to regret, but success built on joy and clarity leads to fulfillment. Happiness allows you to move with confidence, knowing that your decisions are coming from a place of strength rather than insecurity. Another reason happiness is foundational to success is that it allows you to endure the journey. True success takes time, effort, and perseverance. There will always be setbacks, delays, and unexpected obstacles, and if your happiness is dependent on reaching a goal, you will spend most of your journey feeling miserable. Happiness keeps you steady and fulfilled during the process, not just at the finish line. When you can enjoy the journey, your success becomes richer and more meaningful because you didn't sacrifice your peace along the way. Joy keeps you from burning out and allows you to appreciate every step forward. Happiness also creates gratitude, and gratitude is a magnet for growth. When you are thankful for where you are, even as you strive for more, you create an energy that attracts more opportunities. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance, helping you recognize blessings that others might overlook. This mindset not only makes you happier, but also makes you more resourceful and optimistic. Successful people often talk about the importance of gratitude, and that's because it keeps them grounded while motivating them to keep growing. Happiness is what fuels this sense of gratitude, turning it into a powerful force for long-term success. When you are happy, you also take better care of yourself, which is essential for sustaining success. Happiness is connected to physical, mental, and emotional health. People who are joyful are more likely to engage in healthy habits, think positively, and manage stress effectively. This creates a strong foundation for pursuing their dreams with energy and focus. Unhappiness, on the other hand, often leads to neglecting self-care, which eventually affects performance and decision-making. True success cannot thrive in an unhealthy body or a stressed out mind, which is why happiness is such an essential foundation. Happiness creates momentum. When you feel joyful, you naturally take more action, and action leads to progress. Even small victories feel significant when you are happy, which motivates you to keep going. This momentum builds over time and leads to greater achievements. Happiness helps you see opportunities instead of obstacles and keeps you from giving up when things get tough. Those who master happiness first are able to maintain consistency in their work, which is one of the most important factors in achieving success. Ultimately, happiness allows you to redefine success. Instead of chasing material possessions or achievements in hopes of feeling fulfilled, you begin to see success as a natural byproduct of living with purpose and joy. This perspective keeps you grounded and prevents you from falling into the trap of constantly chasing more without ever feeling satisfied. When you are happy first, everything else becomes a bonus. Success is no longer about proving something to others. It's about living fully and leaving a lasting impact. Happiness gives depth to success, making it meaningful and sustainable rather than shallow and temporary.